Well, good. Thank you. Thank you for continuing to watch, listen, and I hope you've subscribed. I hope you have gone there and subscribed and maybe put it in your notification so that whenever there's a new episode, you get notified that, hey, something new has been launched here. So, I remember once, and this is, I was walking a journey with someone, and they're like, Gabriel, I am stressed. I am stressed all the time. And I asked them, why is that the case? And so as we were talking and we engaged in series of conversation over an extended period of time, and as we were going through this series of conversation, what stood out is that this person, this individual, was operating from a zone where they were struggling most of the time. They were drained. They were giving beyond. They were, as you might call it, they were giving from an area where they were struggling. They were not operating from an area where it comes to them naturally. And so, as we were talking, a tool that came to mind that then I shared with them was a tool that we call the 70-30 principle. And this tool was liberating to me. And it liberated me in the aspect that when I saw this tool, I realized, so I need to identify those things that naturally come easy for me. Is they my natural strength? I do them without struggle. I wake up and I'm fired up to go ahead and do them. But then there are those things that sometimes I wonder, why do I have to do it again? And if all I always wake up is to do those things that I struggle with, then my life will be stressed. So I don't know about you. And I present to you this tool called the 70-30 principle. And this tool called the 70-30 principle is coming from the basis that you need to spend 70% of your time doing the things that are your natural strength. The things that are your unconscious competence. Those that come to you naturally. The things that energize you. That you wake up like, yes, it's another day to do this. So I'm going to go ahead and do it. And it's coming from the point where you're self-aware. You know yourself. You know the things you struggle with and you know the things that you don't struggle with. You know your natural strengths and you know your weaknesses. And so you spend 70% of your time doing the things that you struggle with. Then you spend 30% of your time doing the things that you struggle with. The things that are your learned behavior. Those things that you have to be naturally alert and aware and consciously present when you're doing them. The things that drain you, that really just drain you, and you go and you do it and you're like, oh my God, I don't want to do this again. But you have to do it because then comes your growth. So you don't look for 100%. There's a reason why it's 70%. Because again, if you push it to 100%, you only do those things that make you happy, then you will not grow. The 30% is meant to stretch you. The 30% is meant to really make you grow and be able to appreciate other areas and other aspects of your life. Because if you just dwell on the things that come easy for you, then you just operate on your comfort zone. You'll never learn. You'll never appreciate what other people go through to get to do the things that sometimes you might ask them to do. And so as a leader, as someone who is seeking to be intentional, remember we have talked about the 5 circles of influence, and we talked about intentionality. And you're someone who is seeking to be intentional. Then you look at your life and ask yourself, what are those things that come easy for me? And then what are those things that I have to do because they're part of the things that I need to do and they stretch me and help me grow? I give you a personal example. It comes naturally for me to talk about the things that I'm passionate about. It's natural. You wake me up. The other day I was asking my wife, what is it that when you're waking up and you're told to talk about, you can talk about for an hour or 20 minutes or a whole day without preparation? And she went on to tell me, yeah, this, that, this, that, this, that. And so each of us probably there's that thing that comes easy for you. To some people, it's report writing that comes easy for them. They love it. It's easy. It's energizing. To some people, it's the numbers, crunching numbers and just looking at figures and letting them. To some people, it's strategy. Just thinking around strategy. It gives them life. And when you start thinking about something, they're already ding, 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 strategy. And they're already thinking strategy. And that gives them life. It comes to them naturally because that's how they think. That's how they are. And they love it. And so for me, I had to then discover that, hey, there are things that are not my usual. I struggle with those things. And some of them is writing report. It's not my cup of tea. I don't like writing reports. Some of them is, of course, I was trained. I did some bit of accounting and everything else. But it's not that I really love looking at figures that much. But I can do it. I can do it. And so sometimes I get audit reports for when auditing has been done, and I get an audit report and I look at it and I'm like, now do I really have to spend my time trying to understand this? I'd rather someone understands and then explains to me what is important. Gabriel, pay attention to this, pay attention to this, pay attention to this, pay attention to this. But there's a lady I work with who does their auditing work. She loves it. She loves sitting there and asking people questions about auditing, about why is this not right? Gabriel, why is this like this? And she loves it. And for her, it's something that energizes her. For me, it's draining. And so for you, I don't know what it is. And so here's how this could help you. This tool could help you. If you have a job description, and maybe there are 10 lines, there are 7 lines, there are 20 lines. If you have 20-line job description, you're in trouble. But assuming that's yours, go put your job description in front of you. Or if you have things that you always have to do, maybe some of them has got to do with family, maybe some of them have got to do with your personal life, maybe some of them has got to do with whatever it is. List all those things that you always got to do. Take the trash out, make tea, clean the room, write a report, go to the market, X, Y, Z. Just list them. And then I want you to go and say, okay, this number 1, is it my natural strength? If it's your natural strength, give it a tick. Second one, this is my natural strength. If it's your natural strength, give it a tick. Third one, if it's one of those that you always like, oh my God, another, give it an X. If there's that one you don't look excited always to do, give it an X. And once you've done that for all of them, count the number of ticks you have and count the number of X's you have, and then be able to do the math out of, if maybe you had 10, so if maybe your ticks are 6 and your X's are 4, so 6 out of 10, that is 60%. And then it means the things that naturally drain you that you go to do, naturally is your natural strength. The things that are your natural strength that you go to do are 60%, and the things that drain you are 40%. Now you need to move yourself to 70%. But don't go too much until you reach 80%, 90%, because then again you'll start operating in your comfort zone too much. And so I don't know whether that makes sense. So just list them, mark, do that, a percentage calculation around that, and find what is your percentage. And then ask yourself, what can you do to move closer to 70-30% principle? Try this out. Try this out and see if it works for you. For me, it has worked for me. For a number of people I've coached, it has worked for them. And whenever I do my coaching conversation, I start people with that. When someone comes, I do 2 things when I'm coaching people. We go about your peace index, where you are at, how healthy are you, and then we go into your 70-30 principle. Because then that gives me an idea of what could be the source of your stress if we're going to have a conversation around how stressed you are. What could the stress be coming from? Could it be coming from a possibility that you're spending most of your time doing the things that are draining you? Or is there something else you're dealing with? And so I'd like to invite you into this. Interact with this a little bit. And so just do your list. Pick the things that energize you out of your list of JD, and then mark those that are draining out of your list of JD, and then do your calculations, and then know where your 70-30% falls. And I invite you to do this as soon as possible so that then you can reduce on the amount of stress that you have to experience. You can operate from that place of moderate stress or healthy stress, as you might call it. And it's good to operate from a healthy stress point of view, because that healthy stress is where then you know the things that you need to do and you know they're important and you will do them. That's your 30%. You will do them, but they will not be your full day occupation. They'll not be what you do from morning to evening. For me, strategy is my draining space. And if you give me a job of thinking strategy every day, Gabriel will be stressed every day. And I will go home very stressed every day. I don't want that. So, there are those things that you know you struggle with. Maybe you'd rather hire someone else to do it. Those are your 30%. Those are the things you need to do at your 30%. And then the things that you love doing and you wake up every morning feeling excited to do those things, those are your 70%. And make sure that you're spending 70% of your time doing those things. And then so that you can be energized enough to do the whatever is in your 30%. And to close this, I believe there's a reason why God made us that way. That we are not 100% perfect at everything. Because God really, I believe He wanted us to be able to build on the strength of each other. So if you're good at this, and you're struggling with this, and I'm good at it, we can come together, find a point of connection, and boom, be able to then find value for each other. I hope this helps you. Reevaluate and revalue the thing. Reevaluate the things that you got to do. Look at the things that you got to spend your life doing and your time doing, and see where you need to adjust. And maybe have conversations that you need to have conversations. Some people I've had this conversation with have ended up resigning because then they realize that maybe their supervisor is not listening to them when they talk about this 70-30 principle, and then maybe you need to be shifted to another department. Maybe you need to start doing other things, so that then you can operate from a point where you spend 70% doing the things that energize you, and then 30% of your time doing things that drain you. Thank you very much. Continue listening to this and subscribe if this is of value to you. Thank you very much.